Hey everyone, it's Merja here. Good to be here with you today. It is a fantastic day to be alive. And well, for me at least, I've had a really big couple of weeks. And it's fantastic to finally see some results from all that hard work. So I hope that you're doing well too. All right, so shall we get into the questions today? I'm super excited to be here with you today. We got several questions in, so let's jump straight into it. Hey, Chris, good to have you on the call. Most people tend to have something they're good at, but I'm not really sure what mine is. So I'm wondering if you have some tips on how I can start discovering my gifts and what I'm meant to do. What a great question. First of all, yes, everyone has something that they're good at, including you. It's fantastic that you're asking this question because it just shows me that you're wanting to start living a more purposeful life, which is right for you, which is fantastic. Yay! Well done, you. So the second thing I would say is a lot of the time, what we're good at is actually tied into our 4 people within us. So usually, the first thing we're really good at is what our adult self process is. So depending on what your type is, who your 4 people within are, your most practiced part of you is generally what you're really good at. So for example, in my situation, it's introverted intuition or advanced pattern recognition. So I am really good at recognizing patterns. So whenever I see something is happening somewhere, and I can pretty much guess the outcome of what's going to happen because I've seen it so many times before. I observe things and I put them into this mental vault saying, you know what, that's likely to be the outcome of that thing. Your inner parent part of you is actually the part of you that can make sure that you become successful at whatever it is that you're wanting to do. So your inner parent is making sure that the inner children don't start meddling in or don't try to start grabbing the steering wheel of the car of your life. So the inner parent part is a very important part of how you put across what you want to do, what your flow state is, what your adult self is all about. So for example, for me, my inner parent is extroverted feeling, which is of course called harmony. So I am extremely good at putting across my intuition to the world in a harmonious way. So whatever insights that I have created, I'm able to explain it to people in a way that makes sense to them because I have extroverted feeling, which is harmony. I'm all about focusing about how is this going to come across to you? Are you going to understand it? That's why often when I'm asking, for you to say, if this didn't make sense, put comments in the comment section so that and ask some more questions so that I can keep answering it in a way that makes sense to you. So those are the kind of the 2 grown-up parts of you, and the 2 grown-up parts of you are usually the ones that kind of determine what you're really good at. Now, where the adult self is all about, what your skill is that you're good at, and the inner parent is how you put it across, how you bring what you have to offer into light. Your inner 10-year-old is all about what's right and what's wrong in relation to what you want to do. So your inner 10-year-old will tell you, because it's a very black and white part of you, so it'll tell you this is the way that it should be, right? And for my inner 10-year-old, which is accuracy or introverted thinking, sorry, nearly had a little apologies for just one moment. When you're doing a video and you're trying not to sneeze. Okay, so your inner 10-year-old, in my case, is introverted thinking. So my inner 10-year-old wants to make sure that every insight that I have actually makes sense. So my inner 10-year-old introverted thinking is all about, does this make sense to me? Are all the I's dotted and are all the T's crossed? So your inner 10-year-old in your case is a person who wants to do it in a very specific way. It has to be in a very specific way. And then the inner 3-year-old is like the muse. He or she is like the person that really brings light into your purpose journey. So they're all about keeping it real, keeping it 100, because if your inner 3-year-old is overlooked when you're doing your purposeful work, they will tell you. They're going to somehow get in there and get their little paws on the steering wheel and start sabotaging your efforts. So you need to make sure that the inner 3-year-old is being a part of what's going on. And when I say that the inner 10-year-old is like a muse, because they're the exact opposite of your driver process, your adult self, what happens is that the inner 3-year-old kind of brings softness into what you're putting across. So in my case, it's extroverted sensing, and it's a very playful, connection-oriented or connection-driven part of me, which means that if I'm running a workshop, let's just say that I'm running a workshop between all my 4 people within, number one, I'm going to bring some insights into it. Number 2, I'm going to be making sure that the people who are there are understanding what I'm saying, that it makes sense to them. Number 3, I'm going to make sure that I am very clear on the insight and I'm able to explain it in a factually accurate way, and that it's backed up with some data. And number 4, I want to make sure that every person that's there feels like the most important person in the situation. And that's what happens when I amalgamate the 4 people within me and live a meaningful life, embracing my gifts. So how you can find out who what this means for you is, if you haven't already grabbed the 4 people within from MerjaSumiloff.com, go and grab it. If you have, start a conversation in our Facebook group about your 4 people within and what those people might be bringing to the table. So it's more of a proactive process. You can't really do it on your own because you're generally too close to your own situation. So that's what I would recommend that you do. Do the 4 people within work first, the course work first, because it will really give you a lot of insight on your specific 4 people within, because you'll be having conversations with your inner children and they'll tell you the kinds of things that you've always felt that were true but never said out loud or never acknowledged fully. So that's what I recommend that you do. And then make sure that you're in the Facebook group talking about where you're at and who those 4 people within you are, so that people can then ask questions and start exploring this with you.